Greetings, YouTube. Methamphetamine is an illegal drug. I'm sure that anyone watching this video is aware of its presence, frequently referred to as meth. In the United States, in an effort to curb the production of meth, a few years ago, electronic tracking methods were installed across the country. The reason being that if you could control the supply of Sudafed to the general population, you would then be able to curtail the raw materials that are used to produce methamphetamines and, in theory at least, cut back on methamphetamine production. So if you wanted to purchase cold medication, perfectly legal cold medication, from a pharmacy without a prescription, this is over-the-counter medication, you would have to go to the pharmacy counter. You can't actually take it off a shelf by hand. You have to go to the pharmacy counter, and you have to sign in for it. You basically are saying that I, Joe Smith, am purchasing X number of Sudafed pills on this day, and within any 1 week period, you would only be allowed to purchase a set number of pills. Now, as soon as they implemented this particular restriction on Sudafed, I stopped using any form of medication that possessed Sudafed. I refused to give my name and address and personal information to purchase a perfectly legal non-prescription medication. I have never taken an illegal dose of methamphetamines. I have no interest in methamphetamines. I have no interest whatsoever in illegal drugs of any kind. I don't believe in recreational chemical use. I don't even drink alcohol. I don't drink soda. And the occasions I use caffeine, it tends to be in pill form, and I use caffeine as a drug. For example, this morning, I'll be having tea because I'm sleepy. So, you'd think that with this new implementation of new restriction, that the supply of methamphetamine ingredients would gradually taper off. If people could not get methamphetamine ingredients, the Sudafed that produces the drug, in large quantities, that production would be more difficult to achieve, street prices would go up, and people would stop purchasing methamphetamines. But that isn't how the quote-unquote invisible hand of the free market works, however. What's actually happened is that perfectly legitimate people have purchased their maximum allowed dosage of Sudafed, and then they are reselling those pills on the street. So a box of medication with Sudafed in it, which costs $7 or $8, could then be turned around and sold for $40 to $50. And then the drug makers take the Sudafed containing pills and produce methamphetamines. So these restrictions, in an effort to curtail the production of illegal drugs, have not in fact stopped illegal drug production at all. And all they have done is put another layer of people involved in the production. They've put a black market into existence that didn't exist before. They've drawn the number of people involved in this underworld activity and made it larger. Now that seems to be counterproductive. That seems to be something that wasn't planned. Of course, I'm sure that very shortly we will have more laws saying that if you resell Sudafed containing medications in this manner, that you will then become part of the drug trade and will be arrested and thrown in prison. Because in America, there are prisons for profit, and those prisons for profit use their slave labor in the form of prisoners to produce furnishings, clothing. They do phone work, actually. There are prisons that use prisoners to do tech support and to take phone orders and things like that. So there's a profit to be made off slavery. Funny about that, because that's exactly what they're turning Americans' prison systems into. slaves, plantations in the 21st century. So this is all planned, folks. The desire to put more people into prison means that there's a larger slave pool of labor, so that there's more profit to be made off that labor. I apologize, I'm itchy. So regulations meant to curtail the production of an illegal drug have failed. The drug is still being produced. The number of people involved in the production of that drug has increased. The people involved in the production of this drug indirectly, people who are reselling legal cold medications, who would have never been involved in this process, has increased. And all of this has done is made America worse. It's just failed on every conceivable level. I'm of the opinion that if you want to solve this problem, keeping illegal drugs illegal is the problem. That I'm not supporting the decriminalization of drugs because I like them. I don't think anyone needs to ever do any form of drug for a recreational purpose. I just think that the best thing to do is take all the money that's currently being used on tracking, arresting, trying, and imprisoning people and use it towards treating people who have chemical dependencies, and you'd be better off. And if Portugal is any example, that method works. They've been using that method for a while now, and it seems to be doing a good job. So I'm opposed to these restrictions. I'm opposed to illegal drugs on all levels. We would be better off spending the money treating the problem, not the symptom, because the drugs are the symptom. The problem is, why are people turning to the drugs? Poverty, discrimination, the lack of proper education. There's lots of reasons, big, hard to solve reasons. And people don't want to listen to those. People don't want to tackle those problems. They would rather go after the symptoms, which is the drugs and all the related crimes that are built around those drugs. They're looking for simple solutions to complex problems. So I'm against these bans. I was against this ban restriction when it was first implemented years ago. I'm against it now, and I will have nothing to do with it. I simply have to tough out colds now, or illness that I would not have in the past, because I would have had access to cold medication that actually fixed my illness. I no longer have that option. So I don't know what it's like in your country. Maybe you can buy Sudafed over the counter and freely access it. Maybe your government hasn't created an entire new level of black market like we have in America. Maybe your country has more intelligent laws concerning the use of recreational drugs. I'm not sure. But here in America, once again, we have failed miserably to solve a problem and only gone after its symptoms.